So we just had this great conversation, Julie, about why can't you do something?
This is a peek behind the curtain of the debate after the camera shuts off.
Debate. Well, we know who's right here.
Good conversation.
No, the question came up of what if you're going to put a goal in this 12-week plan versus a 52-week plan. Why do people drag it out and do it for 52 weeks versus just doing it in 12? And I have a hypothesis on this. And I think sometimes it's either there's a fear of failure, but there's also a fear of success. Like, well, I want to chase after this goal and I'm going to get this 20% growth or 40% growth. But what happens when I get it? What does that mean? How's that going to change my business and what I do and the money and the tax? Like sometimes the thought of the fear of success will paralyze somebody that they're like, well, I'll just drag it out and go into this really slow. Where a typical entrepreneur, how great is it when we usually start, we jump off the high dive and just jump right in.
But I think what we're talking about though is the person that's just jumping right in, they have no guidelines, right? Like they're just going to do whatever it takes to make it work. I think what you're referring to is maybe someone who has taken the leap off of the diving board and is swimming or has their head above water and is kind of thinking like, well, my head's above water, what's next? And then saying like, well, what do you mean? I could stand on water? And having that fear of, well, once I stand on water, well, what's next? Well, then we run on water. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, of course, and again, you're not wrong on that because again, it's always about what's next for entrepreneurs. Like we did 20% this year. Next year, we're going to do 25. Next year, we're going to do this. So defining those goals, but it's instead of trying to do the goal and stretch it out maybe for a long period of time, maybe try to figure out how to get that compressed a little bit and still be successful at it. Because if you're going to get the rewards for the success from the hard work and commitment, if you do it a little faster, you're going to get that taste of that a little quicker. I've got a 10-year plan and I'm going to do one thing once a year and I'll get there. Well, like, why can't you do one thing a quarter and they're going to be there in 2 years?
One thing in a month.
Well, some fast movers were like that. But I think that's an interesting take to that is how quickly should you expect or should be put on your calendar to achieve that goal or whatever that thing is you're trying to do. Should you do it faster or drag it on?
I just think when you set a goal, like when we talk about these, it's not even New Year's resolutions. I think a prudent entrepreneur is sitting down and hopefully having some type of goals for their business. Mm-hmm. I think it's about what is achievable because what I have seen, what I'm sure you've seen is we get to October, November, and I'm just making up something. Someone said, oh, I'm going to grow by 20%. They're just now sitting down to take a look at where do they stand in regards. I forgot I wrote that goal down. What have we done, right? Oh, well, we haven't achieved it. I'm just going to do that for next year. And I don't know how many owners, entrepreneurs, humans that I've heard that same thing from. Well, it's too late. Well, I didn't do it. I didn't take action. And so I think the impetus of that episode that we just did was, why not take small actions to get to where you need to be so that come November, December, even next January, you're like, man, what was my goal last year? And you don't even remember it because there was no action taken. And as we know, like a plan without action is, I don't even know what they call that. Words?
Words? Well, it's tough because as much as we love Post-its, we wrote the little goal on the Post-it note, sometimes it gets lost and it doesn't get in there. So if you have a goal or you have an action plan, put it on your calendar, put it on your daily wake-up call, whatever that is, to make sure that you give it the attention it deserves. Because if it came out of your subconscious or your conscious to say, this is what I want to do, it must be important. So give it the respect and at least give it the commitment and give it your best shot to try to make that happen. Why would you? If something
it doesn't mean that
you
have to achieve it tomorrow. It just means like,
give it a shot.
If that's the goal, can you back into what that looks like for the next 12 months, 3 months, 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and do one thing to achieve that? So at least you're on the path. If you can't even get on the path, you're never even going to get to the finish line.
Respect yourself. That's all we can ask for. Respect your ideas and make that a priority instead of everybody else's. Put your name at the top for once.
So you'll read the book.
I'm reading the book. I'm committed to reading the book. And once we get past the quit date, I'm on it. So
we're there.
Well, hopefully that was helpful, but that was a little behind the scenes. We went off on a little tangent there, but I hopefully you enjoyed that. Empowering Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Glenn Harper.
Julie Smith.